Priscilla, what about boys at school? Must be some handsome ones.
Priscilla is the Elvis Presley story, but it's told from his wife, Priscilla's point of view. Based on Priscilla Presley's book and directed by Sofia Coppola, this is a distinct female-centric take on the Elvis story. It skirts some of the thorny issues in their relationship, but ultimately, this is a pretty good story of a young woman's maturation in the spotlight standing next to the king of rock and roll.
Relax. You're already living out your worst case scenario.
What, being stuck here with you?
Yeah.
You make a good point.
In What Happens Later, two former lovers meet in an airport in the middle of a blizzard. This is a surreal rom-com of sorts, nice performances, but a bit of an oddball story about older love and regret. Meg Ryan and David Duchovny are very good here. The film has some interesting magical realism aspects that can be a bit weird, but there's still plenty of reason to root for these characters in this strange but endearing little romance. Radal is a crowd-pleasing Spanish-language dramedy, the true story of a teacher who used unorthodox methods to connect with his neglected students. If you're okay with reading subtitles, Radal is a nice little treat.
You guys taking the test?
Yeah, 3 years ago, we were positive.
Fingernails is a thought-provoking but very strange romance over on Apple TV+. Set in a world where people can take a test to find out if they are actually in love, and then what happens when one woman starts to doubt the results. Now, it's a story about longing, but as you might guess from the title, it has some very dark elements as well. I quite enjoyed the performances and the film's thought-provoking take on love.
Who is this man, Sylvester Stallone?
Netflix has a nice documentary about Sylvester Stallone called Sly. This is his take on his rise to fame and how he created his famous movie heroes. I love that the film includes interviews with everyone from Talia Shire to Quentin Tarantino to Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you're a fan of Rocky or Rambo, then this is definitely the film for you.
Your mom owes me 80 grand. When you have it, you'll get your dog back.
I don't have any money. You can sell your eggs. I mean, it's not like you're using them.
In Quiz Lady, two sisters desperate for money hit the road to take part in a quiz show. It's a raunchy, funny comedy that scores laughs while also being a feel-good story of sisterhood and resiliency. Aquafina and Sandra Oh make an appealing central duo. They have nice chemistry and they're always game to do whatever it takes to score some laughs. Just don't question their age difference and you should be fine if you enjoy these types of comedies.
Okay, just a little swim.
And finally, this week's best new movie is Nyad over on Netflix. It's the story of Diana Nyad, who at age 64 set out to swim from Cuba to Florida. It features amazing performances by Annette Bening and Jodie Foster. It's a little odd as the central character can be quite prickly, but her accomplishments and her obsessive drive make this into one of the best films of the year. Nyad is one of those sports biographies that will definitely make you cheer.
I don't believe in imposed limitations. The only one who gets to decide if I'm through is me.
And that's what's new this weekend at the movies. I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy.
Okay, well, you're gonna need to sit back and relax, maybe grab a bunch of popcorn because there's a lot of movies this week. Of course, Sean McBride, the movie guy, here on this Friday to give us a review. How long did it take you to watch all of these movies?
Yeah, I only watched 7 of the 9. So, yeah.
9.
Look, there are 9 films. One of them, The Marsh King's Daughter, did not open here in this market. And the other one on Netflix, I just ran out of time. That would be Wing Women. But but there are 7 films opening this week, either in theaters or on home streaming. This is the week that we were supposed to have Dune 2.
Okay.
And Dune 2, obviously because of the actors' strike, it moved to the spring.
Right.
And so a lot of, I think a lot of movies said, oh, there's a hole, let's fill the void with some movies. And the good news is that almost all the movies are good to very good. So there's good stuff to chat about this week. And then, you know, next week we start we're starting to ramp up for the holiday movie season. So this is your one chance to see these films and to really go for it. So.
And some big ones too this week. I know I've been seeing plenty of trailers about Priscilla.
Priscilla, the latest from Sofia Coppola. Yeah, this is an interesting film. And I think this is a good film. I don't think this is one of the better ones, to be honest with you, though. It is, it's the Elvis story. It's funny, it came 1 year after Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, but this one is the Priscilla story. And so it's Priscilla Presley. It's based on her memoir, Elvis and Me. And it's quite controversial. Pretty famously, Lisa Marie Presley, she emailed Sofia Coppola, the director, just like a month before she passed and said, please don't release this.
Wow.
I hate that this makes my daddy look like a monster.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's really monstrous, but it does not treat Elvis very kindly.
Sure.
I mean, he is a controlling guy here. But this is Priscilla's story, and the idea is that, you know, she was young and she was in love. Remember, she met Elvis when she was 14 and he was 24. And by contemporary standards, that's a little icky here. And I think you can sense that because Sofia Coppola has some of that in this movie. But it's also a story, you know, it's based on Priscilla Presley. Presley's memoirs.
Yeah.
She obviously loves the guy. They stayed friends. You know, they got divorced, but they stayed friends until the end of their lives. And I think that it's a mixed bag of this. I do like the filmmaking. I do like the acting. I do like the production design and all the fun little details that Sofia Coppola is known for. But I also think that, like, if you're a major Elvis fan, you won't be happy.
Yeah.
If you're a Priscilla fan or if you're a feminist, you might say, oh yeah, no, this is finally about time we told this story. So it's a mixed bag for me, but I think it's still pretty good.
So acting was good. I know Jacob Elordi was playing Elvis, which it's kind of hard to believe after we saw Austin Butler do Elvis last year.
Can't we just get one Elvis for all the movies?
And he was great. So did Jacob Elordi kind of?
Yeah, he is, but like I say, this is Priscilla's story.
Yeah.
So he just has to be, you know, he's so big, and the actress playing Priscilla, you know, she's so small, and so I think they do that to overemphasize how controlling he was, you know.
Okay.
So.
All right, well, that one's okay. Maybe we go to one of the good ones?
Okay, let's do, this is a surprise one. Well, actually, let's go to the, I think, the best film of the week this week, and that is Nyad, and that is over on Netflix.
Okay.
This is Annette Bening, stars as Diana Nyad. She is the woman that set out to swim from Cuba to Key West, Florida. And she tried it when she was in her 20s and failed. And so she tried it again when she was 64. And it's this story of this thing. That's Annette Bening and Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster is her coach slash best friend. They used to date, you know, but now they're just best friends, and she's kind of like the rock that's pushing her. This is a great movie because it is an athletic, it's a sports flick, right? And so you're cheering on, you know, that's always the case with sports movies. You cheer on the athlete as they overcome insurmountable odds that would, you know, sink a mere human. But in this case, it's also dealing with the issue that she's 60s. You know, she's a woman that's past her prime, and so she is dealing with the issues of legacy. She reads this poem, you know, what are you going to do with this wild life that you have, you know? What's your legacy going to be? And so she's talking about that. But it's also interesting because Diana Nyad was a very blunt person, brusque person, a very, she's kind of a prickly character. And if she was a male athlete, we'd probably just forgive her. But because she's female, it's kind of off-putting at times. And so it's talking about gender and media and, you know, in social situations, but also this athletic thing. I think these performances are great. I think this film works very, very well. It's on Netflix. I hope, you know, the rumor is that the actor strike is going to settle either today or next week. Okay. We hope so, because both Jodie Foster and Annette Bening are very good and deserve Academy Award nominations for acting. But probably this film will get forgotten if they can't get it out on the talk show circuit to remind people to see this movie. But very good movie over on Netflix. That's the best out this week.
It's already an incredible story of, you know, her attempt, and so now you get to kind of get an inside look.
And it's one that I'm not sure that everybody knows.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Next up,
another great one in theaters. This is a Spanish language film called Radal, and this is a Sundance favorite from this past year.
Okay.
And it's Eugenio Derbez, who is this actor. He plays a teacher. He lives in a small town just across the border from Brownsville there, and he's got all these students who are, you know, kind of forgotten because they're poor, right? And they've been trying to teach these kids to pass some tests. He says, no, I just want to teach them to get the love of learning in their lives. So this is a genre picture about a teacher that inspires his students. I think the kids in particular are really good actors here. Spanish language, so you either have to be fine with reading subtitles or watching it. But this is one of my favorite films of the week. It is, you know, genre pictures. A lot of times we think about foreign language films, we think art picture. No, this is a genre picture. It's about an inspirational teacher. It will make you cheer, it'll make you cry. I think this is a very good film in theaters.
It must have to be a good one if, you know, you are still having to read the subtitles, but you still can kind of take it in and get to enjoy the film. Next up.
Let's keep saying in theaters. Let's wrap that up. It's What Happens Later. This is Meg Ryan, who you know, we love Meg Ryan. She is back acting in this one, co-writing it, directing it, and she's teamed up with David Duchovny. The idea is it's a kind of a rom-com, but it's her, David Duchovny end up stranded in an airport. There's a big blizzard that shuts everything down, and they end up being in the airport together. Well, they used to date, and so it's them talking together, and all the other people kind of get on planes again, and it's them in the airport. It's a two-hander. It's just these two actors, and then a PA announcer. It's kind of like the voice of God. It's kind of fun. But anyway, it's, you know, you think of a romantic comedy, a lot of times you get those sparks from young love. Well, this is obviously not young love, so it's more about the embers that you thought had gone out, but maybe there's still something there, and they're talking about regret and love and loss and all these. It's a more mature look at a rom-com, shall we always say. Meg Ryan is still, very appealing. I will watch her and everything. David Duchovny's, I love his ability to tell a droll punchline. He's funny. It's a sweet movie. It's aimed, like I said, at an older crowd. But I think it works pretty well. It's nice to see Meg Ryan back too.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got one more, or how many?
No, that's
well,
I
know there's.
We go very quickly. Over on home streaming, over on Apple TV Plus, probably the most interesting film of the week is called Fingernails. It's set in a science fiction world where you and your partner can go take a test and find out with 100% accuracy, are you in love? Right, and maybe only one of you's in love, maybe both of you in love, and it's a very dark comedy though, because the way you take this test is you have to rip out a fingernail to do so. So not a happy-go-lucky thing. It's the story of what happens when a young woman falls in love, despite the fact that she's 100% positive in love with her boyfriend at home. She starts to feel attraction towards the other guy, and so it's Jesse Buckley, it's Riz Ahmed, it's Jeremy Allen White. It's a good cast. It's an interesting premise. It should get people talking.
Okay.
So, Quiz Lady on Hulu. This is Awkwafina, Sandra Oh. They play two women. Their mom owes some bad guys a lot of money, and she goes missing, and then the bad guys kidnap her dog. And so in order to raise the money to pay off her mom's debt, they decided to go on this quiz show, which is kind of like a Jeopardy thing. But Will Ferrell is the Alex Trebek of the situation. And it's a story about sisters, and, they clash. They have very different styles, and so they get in some hijinks here. It's kind of one of those raunchy comedies, but ultimately it's about sisterhood coming together there. Okay. And then the final one is Sly over on Netflix, and this is produced by Sylvester Stallone. And basically it's Stallone telling the story. It's not about his life per se. We've had media lately about his kids, but it's about his career and how he created Rocky Rambo and and Expendables. I think it's very good. It's interesting. He talks with Schwarzenegger. He interviews him about the competition they had. Very good film. Lots of good films this week.
There's so many. Plenty to choose from. Something for everybody. Yeah. So if you're looking for something to do, might be a good option.
Next week we only have like 2 films, so actually
maybe save some from this weekend.
Yeah,
you can watch them next weekend. There we go. All right. Well, of course, thank you, Sean, for stopping by. Still to come this morning, Chad will have a look at your forecast.